All right, welcome back to Double Fries No Slaw. Some big coaching news, some surprising coaching news today. Wanted to talk with you guys about it. Honestly, I don't always ask this, but I do want to hear your comments because I think the first one, people are going to have pretty mixed emotions, and I am somewhat in the middle of everything on this. Now, obviously, your overarching thought on this channel, and we've continued to say, like, I'm not going to get on here and fire Mike Norvell for the next 10 months, right? Until hopefully it eventually happens. But everything that happens to this program, I mean, just ultimately shouldn't be a shock, right? Like, we get shocking news today. We learn about coaching changes. I expect more to come. I might be on here in 15 more minutes doing another video on somebody else, but nothing should really surprise you. I don't know that I have the mental ability, the health in my mind to just get on here and rant about Mike Norvell over and over and over again for the next 10 months. But that is always in the back of everything, right? Like, that's in the back of your mind with all this stuff. There's not the right people leading this program. And so anything that happens to this program over the next 10 months should not be that big of a surprise. Brendan Sonnone of Noles 24/7 reported first that Pat Surtain, they make it sound nice, but that he and Florida State had parted ways. Yeah, I mean, he was fired, right? Like, that's just, at the end of the day, you're not parting ways. They didn't his contract runs through February. They're not just letting him work out his contract. He is no longer on staff at FSU. That's the defensive backs coach for the Seminoles. A lot of mixed thoughts on this, a lot of mixed emotions. Fans, at least on social media, when you look at a quick snapshot, not thrilled here. Again, my emotions, my thoughts on this, very mixed. I think Pat has done a better job than most of the coaches on this staff, but I think most of the coaches on this staff are pretty terrible and need to be turned over. The staff needs to be flipped again. You need to hire new coaches. And so Pat, to me, has not been anything close to elite. He's probably been pretty average. And his first year with a couple of guys that he did not necessarily, that he inherited, that has not been the case these last couple of years. If we're being honest, defensive back play at Florida State has been pretty bad the last 2 years. Now, most of the play at Florida State has been pretty bad the last 2 years. You have 4 Power 4 wins in 2 seasons. So yeah, of course, it's not been good enough. But for how well we've recruited that position, right? You look at the recruiting rankings of the defensive back position compared to anything else, everything else. Offensive line, wide receiver's been pretty good. Running back's been pretty good. Tight end has been okay. Quarterback, okay. You look at that compared to the defensive line or the linebackers, that has been the position group that you have brought in the most talent, unquestionably. And so you get a notch for that recruiting, but where has the development been? Why is Charles Lester still getting beat? Why one of the highest recruits that Mike has ever brought in? Why are the younger guys just not really making the impact and not making the plays that you might expect? I understand that the defensive line plays a lot into how well the DBs can play. If you don't get pressure on the quarterback, DBs can't cover forever. There's no doubt that that is true. The development for a position group where you have brought in a good amount of talent, to me, has not been good enough. And then the play this year has not been good enough. Again, does the defensive line factor into that some? Absolutely. I don't think the tackling has been great. I don't think the coverage has been great at defensive back. And I don't mean to get on Pat for this. I don't think it's incredibly difficult to recruit defensive backs to Florida State. Just like I don't think it's incredibly difficult to recruit defensive backs to Ohio State, LSU, Florida. You're in a talent-rich area in the state of Florida. You have a coach with ties to South Florida coming from American heritage. And so I don't mean to take away anything Pat did on the recruiting trail either, but we saw pretty good recruiting results with Woodson as DB coach. We saw it with Taggart's staff. We've seen it before that, obviously, with Jimbo's staff that was here. So just being able to get talented guys to campus is not good enough. The development and the play have not been good enough for the last 2 years. So that's one side of it. The other side of it is he was still one of the better coaches on staff. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about a reaction in just a moment, but I will give Tallahassee Ford some love just very quickly. If you're in that Tallahassee area, you're looking for a new car, new truck, new vehicle, make sure you reach out to our friends over at Tallahassee Ford. They will treat you right. They will be your one-stop shop. You don't deal with 6 different people while you're over there. You have one person that goes from start to finish with you. If you're not in the Tallahassee area, they will deliver to you. So go online, go to Tallahassee Ford right now, get some information if you are in that market for a new vehicle. If you're not, you will be eventually. And make sure that our folks and our friends over at Tallahassee Ford are the ones to get you taken care of. The other side of this is what we just said. There is no way that Pat Surtain was one of the worst coaches on your staff. There's a lot more, try to be nice. There's a lot more that's just not up to par. That's the most PC way, I guess I can say that, on this staff. I don't need to go down a list of names. I don't need to crap on guys at the holiday, around the holidays when they're probably going to get fired. There will be more videos like this. There will be more that comes out about certain staff members that we're going to move on from. And so I don't need to beat a dead horse there. So that's why I think this is surprising. That is Pat like an elite coach that has produced amazing results for you? I don't really think so. I think he's been one of the better staff members on a bad staff. And so is that the standard at Florida State? No. Can you upgrade from Pat Surtain? I don't know. I don't know what kind of juice Mike Norvell has to make elite hires at this point. People coming in to this program are very much going to know and be aware of what the hot seat situation is around Mike Norvell. And they're going to understand that Florida State tried to fire him this year and couldn't get it done. They're going to understand that Florida State is likely looking to move on from him soon if things don't drastically improve, which a lot of people have doubts about the possibility of that. So can you upgrade from Pat Surtain? I think that's an important question. Antonio Cromartie's certainly not a fan of this. Did you see his tweet? How the hell do you dismiss your best recruiter and developer of talent? S word. He's your best coach on staff. This doesn't make any sense at all. Unbelievable. He's probably going to bring his guy, TJ, rushing. Just be on the lookout. All I can say is, wow, make it make sense. Antonio Cromartie, never one to mince words. A guy that certainly has not been thrilled with the status of Florida State football over the last couple of years. And I appreciate Crow for his thoughts. I wonder a little bit about where he goes. Does he go get a defensive backs job, a safeties or cornerbacks job at the next level? Because if an NFL program is willing to take him, and maybe he's a little bit better suited for that, maybe he's not. I've heard some things talked about that recruiting, he's done a good job of bringing guys in. He brought in the highest rated recruit that you have in your class this year in Kinnan. That was also a kid that had a Florida State tattoo. So maybe I could have been recruiting defensive backs and gotten that kid to Tallahassee. But you do kind of wonder where his next job will be. If that be a high-level power forward job, if that be, maybe back in the high school ranks, maybe he's really got a passion for that teaching side of things. Maybe it is at the NFL level. I think that will be a kind of a key indicator on if this was a good move or not, what he looks like in his next role. Was this the best decision? Was moving on from him when you have other coaches who probably should have gotten the axe years ago, was that the right timing for Florida State? Again, I have very mixed emotions on this. Do I think Pat Surtain has been good enough at his job? To me, it's a coin flip. You could go either way on that. Do I think he's been a lot better than a lot of other pieces on this staff? Absolutely. Now, if you don't think he's been good enough, if you're Mike Norvell, the linebacker play or the offensive line or just any other position group should not have an impact on how you evaluate that position. But I think FSU fans are a little frustrated hearing that this coach that they probably thought was the safest on this staff is the one to get let go first. Also, too, Matt Zenitz of 24/7 CBS Sports also reported that David Johnson is being interviewed, targeted, looked at by Arkansas. If you're upset about the Pat Surtain one, I think this would be a good move. I think the running back rotation, the running back room, the way that that position group has ultimately looked, I think that is a move that will have a positive impact on Florida State. I think David Johnson is a nice guy. I've actually never interacted with him, so I don't have anything negative to say there. From things I've been told, on the recruiting trail, I don't think it's been good enough. And I know you got Chroma. I know you got Danzy, who was a local kid. You overpaid for you went crazy in NIL and you got Chroma at the last minute from UGA. That was a great pickup. The Cam Akers thing, Cam Davis, sorry, has not worked out especially well. You've signed some other guys in that room that hit or miss, I don't have a problem with that one at all. And I expect more to come. I'd be pretty surprised if JP was retained on this staff. I'd be pretty surprised if Tony Tokars was retained on this staff. I'd be pretty surprised if Gus Malzahn came back. If Gus leaves, do the wide receiver coach and offensive line coach follow him? If he retires, maybe they stick around, maybe they don't. But I do think that there's quite a bit of staff turnover coming. So we'll kind of keep you updated on what we hear there. But again, like I started this thing out, I want to hear your comments. I want to hear what you think about moving on from him. Don't just take what I say and run with it. I could be completely wrong. Maybe Pat Surtain had some other stuff going on that has not been made publicly yet. And this was a great decision by FSU to part ways and move on. On the surface, it's an interesting decision. It's a weird decision that I don't really understand. But again, until we get all the details, which we may get, we may not get, I don't know. It's hard to have a fully informed opinion on it. Again, I said I wasn't going to do this. The overarching theme on a lot of this stuff is that if you have to flip your entire roster, if you have to flip your entire coaching staff, if you have to rebuild an entire front office year after year after year, maybe the problem is not all of those cogs, but it's the actual centerpiece of the wheel. If you're Florida State, maybe the problem is not your 17 different pieces that touch the centerpiece. Maybe the actual centerpiece of this wheel that is Florida State football is the problem. But Florida State either was unwilling or unable to make a move there. And so they're going to try and rebuild all the pieces around that centerpiece to try and have a product that doesn't just look like complete trash on the field for the third year in a row. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. As we get out of here, I will just very quickly give Sleeper some love. Appreciate Sleeper for their support, all that they do for the channel. Use our code DFNS for a 100% match up to $100. Enjoy Conference Championship Saturday. We will more than likely be back soon to talk about more firings, more changes to Mike Norvell's staff in Tallahassee. Appreciate you guys. As always, go Noles.